I remember when the musical Come From Away first opened, it was talked about as like this perfect window to understand the closeness between Canada and the United States. That was 2017. I think it's fair to say the vibe has shifted a little. Today, how does Come From Away land in this moment? I'm Elamin Abdelmahmoud, and this is Commotion. Look, I think the place to start is here.
On the northeast tip of North America is a town called Gander.
September 11th, 2001.
Over 200 planes getting diverted.
Even with all the hotels in town, we've got no room.
With thousands of passengers arriving at any minute, the town is asking for help with, well, anything you can do.
That is a bit of the musical Come From Away. Look, I gotta tell you, it was very hard for me not to sing the whole time that was happening. Because, like, look, there's a musical theater trick that Come From Away pulls off very well. You know how, like, there's, like, a big musical note that gives you the release at the end of every musical number when you go see something at a theater. Here's the thing. Come From Away doesn't give you that. It's called a button. And for like the longest time, Come From Away just holds the button. And the emotions are building in your body. And you're like, all I want to do is just get this off of my body, but you can't. So you just keep crying. Well, I kept crying. I think I cried the entirety of the time that I was seeing Come From Away. It is a musical about the true story of how on 9/11, 38 planes were diverted to Gander, Newfoundland. And it's about the whole town suddenly coming together to welcome all of the stranded passengers. It's also probably the best recent example of the tenderness and the loveliness that we think about when we think about the relationship between the US and Canada, which means the message of that musical might land a little bit differently in this moment. There is a new production of Come From Away that is set to open in Gander this July. Jillian Keiley is here. She's a show's artistic director, and Darrell Morris Jr. is a New York-based actor who's returning to Canada to star in the production. Jillian, Darrell, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank
Hi,
you.
it's nice to have you here.
Nice to be here.
Jillian, how does it feel to be preparing for this new production of Come From Away during this moment that we're in right now?
Yeah, it's very purposeful right now. I think I've loved this musical for so long, and of course I'm a Newfoundlander, so it has a particular spot for me. My mom had people over for dinner, back in 2001, but it's really, really important to me because in this moment, because it's not just about friendship, it's about the history and the love that's actually between our nations, and this confusion that's happening right now. It's one of the few pieces of real cultural diplomacy we have, and I think the person to person, and most people will tell you that they have family and friends and loved ones and people that they're in relationship with in the States who they really love, and all of this stuff that's happening on the top level between politics, and it affects everybody, but we can't forget that love that's between us. We can't forget that friendship. And this show is very, very special in so many ways. It's just a masterful piece of writing and an incredible work of art. And it's a true story, which is beautiful. But the big thing that I'm focused on this year is we have to protect that no matter what. I keep seeing articles about, it's over between us and the States. It's like, it can't be. We are bonded together, and we have to, whatever we untangle up top, we have to maintain the person-to-person relationships.
Darrell, I'm going to get to you in just a moment, but Jillian, I just want to follow up on that and just say you wanted to, in your Gander-based production of Come From Away, you wanted to make sure that you have a few American actors. Tell me about why that was a part of your decision-making.
Yeah, it was really important to me. One of the things that I found so wonderful and moving in the original production that Chris Ashley directed and rightfully won the Tony for, he brought down a Newfoundlander to be in that cast. And I just thought it was so poignant and important to have that voice from Newfoundland in the, not just to get the accent right, but also to be a part of, it's important, but also to be a part of representing, these people that are, we're not leprechauns on a rock. We're actually quite complex. And, and it was really beautiful that he did that. And I thought I need to do that too, because if we're going to tell the Gander story, from the Gander point of view of this story, then and it's the same music and the same musical. It's the same brilliant work from the writers, but we do put a Gander perspective on it. And I thought we have to reflect that, and we have to bring in Americans to work on the show, because this is their story. So much of this is about their tragedy, and what we experienced was really secondary. A secondary story. The big story was what happened in the States and how it changed the entire makeup of the place. And it's still reverberating today. So important to me to have that. And especially if it's about Canadian-American friendship, to me, having Americans, we have an American in the band. We've, Darrell is with us on stage. We've have Americans in the design. It's so important that we build this together, because the story is about people who built something out of tragedy together.
Darrell, when you think about this story, listen, when it premiered in Broadway, 2017, I remember the headlines and the images where, like Justin Trudeau was in attendance with Ivanka Trump, and I saw the pictures basically everywhere. It's safe to say that no Trump or Trudeau is going to be attendance this time around, because I feel like the vibe again has shifted. You are coming back you're based in New York, but you're coming back to Canada to be a part of the show. How do you feel about coming back for this role?
So many things. I feel so many things coming back. I think Prince of it all is kind of Jill's idea of how important it is to do this piece in this moment. It almost feels like an act of rebellion to be able to sit with this piece and say, no, I don't accept that. I don't accept what's going on. My focus is on the interpersonal connection. My focus is on the people that I know and love and care about and trust and respect. And so for me, it is, Jill and I had a conversation last week, I believe, where I don't know how I'll feel tomorrow about doing the show again, but there's something so beautiful about saying, no, this is really important. This is an important story to tell, and I can't tell you what it'll mean to me tomorrow, what it'll mean to me the next day, but it is important to tell. It is important, especially as an American, to say, I'm here, and I'm ready to listen. I'm ready to speak. I'm ready to share my experience and my perspective with what's going on in our lives.
There's a sort of, in both of your voices, I sort of detect this sort of incredulousness of I can't believe that we're here. Because when you begin, Jillian, to decide that you're going to mount this production in Gander, I presume this didn't start in November, right? It didn't start recently. It's a sort of years-long process that sort of leads you to this place. And then while you're doing that, the context in which the show exists in shift. You're still not even ready to open yet, right? You don't open till July. The rehearsals don't start till the beginning of June. That's a long way off, and we've seen just how much things have changed. I think something about the show is trying to say the fundamentals don't necessarily have to change, given how Canada's new relationship with the United States is unfolding, the ways that we are talking differently about that relationship. Do you see your script changing? Is it a fluid process in terms of how you're writing this thing between now and when you get to July?
Absolutely not. I think in fact, it makes the script, if the script hadn't been written 10 or 15 years ago, when it was written, it should be written today. It should be written today. It would be the perfect time to write this. There's never been a better time to write this script, because it's never been more necessary. It's never been more necessary to gather 400 or 500 people, 1,000 people in Toronto tonight. There's absolutely, to gather people around to say, right, we love each other, right? To gather people around to cheer and say, we're here together, we're going to get through this together. That's something, again, person to person, we have to remember that. And I think that friendship is what's going to get us out of this. I think ultimately that friendship, that relationship, that caring for each other and waking up to, oh, right, this is who we are. Waking up to that is what's actually going to drag us out of this strange pit that we're in together. that history.
I'll tell you what I'm getting from both of you is like this sense of what Darrell mentioned, this idea of rebellion, the idea of sort of like saying, we understand that the news cycle is taking us in a certain direction. We understand that the conversation is taking us in a certain direction. We understand the words of hostility that have been exchanged by leaders. But this show is trying to root us in something different. Darrell, when you think about the show and you think about your role in the show, but just in general, people showing up to a production of Come From Away in Gander, in the place where this story actually takes place, what do you hope people take away from the performance as they're leaving the theater when the show opens in July?
Yeah, I mean, as an actor, I won't. My director is here. Every night is not different, but as an actor who is also a human, we come in with different things every night, right? So I could be saying the same exact line in the same place 8 times a week, and 8 times a week it will be different because it's coming from a different place, even if the words are the same. And so I don't know if I can say I want my audience to feel this, but to me, the important piece of this show is nuance. Like the piece of this show that I think has stuck with me even since the first time that I saw it in 2017 in New York City while I was still in school is you don't know until you know. You don't know people until they reveal themselves to you. And so all of these assumptions that you make about the people that you encounter, these preconceived notions of who you are in a space, doesn't have to be that thing, right? So if I could imbibe a bit of meaning on this show for someone to walk away with, it's listen to what people are saying to you, and not just what you assume they think. Right.
I suppose in terms of being like, oh, this is what America thinks of us now. I was like, well, maybe like there's a different story to be told here. And get to experience that in a theater. Jillian, I'll tell you what one of the lasting impacts of seeing Come From Away on me has been, is that I regularly just say, so I'm back to Shoppers. Me and my wife, that's like a regular thing that we just say in our regular parlance. Look, the show opens in July. I'm thinking about the Broadway show that closed back in 2022. Given this charged atmosphere, Jillian, maybe last word to you here. Do you see a world where Come From Away returns to Broadway? Is that sort of, are we so far away from that? Because it does feel like it's so in conversation with the moment. And so rarely do you get a show that meets the moment, so directly speaks to the moment. Do you see a place for a show like Come From Away to return to Broadway? It's been 3 years or so since it closed on Broadway.
If I was a producer, that's what I would do. I think there's Darrell is so right. It is a very quiet, very loving act of rebellion. And I think to actually stand up and put love in front of hate and to put this country and this country as partners instead of, trying to absorb one country, like all of this, to actually put up something and have people cheer for love and have people cheer for care and kindness. That's what the world needs right now. And I think people are hungry for it. We're all, there's a national sickness happening right now. I see people, I'm in rehearsal for another show and somebody said on the first day, it's like, do we mind just not looking, if you look at the news cycle in the break, do you mind just not bringing it into rehearsal? Because I can't think because people are so stressed. And I think that's something that can go away if you sit, and especially in the States, like what a glorious thing to do, to sit with 1,000 people and go, yeah, we don't believe in this. We actually believe in love. We believe in kindness. It's a beautiful thing to do. I think we should get it produced on Broadway.
I think that's a lovely place to leave it. I appreciate both of your time. Thanks so much for being here. And I hope the production goes really well. Thanks again, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. Jillian Keiley is an artistic director for the upcoming Come From Away musical in Gander, Newfoundland, and Darrell Morris Jr. is a New York-based actor who will have a starring role in that production. He plays Bob in the musical. Come From Away opens this July at the Joseph R. Smallwood Arts and Culture Center. I'm Elamin Abdelmahmoud, and this is Commotion. Look, I'm still seeing a lot of social media chatter about this scene from a new HBO Max show called The Pitt.
When did the contractions start?
Yesterday. Really? My last 2 labors are very long, so I decided to wait it out this time. But then my water broke.
Natalie, I'm here. Sorry, I got a little lost.
Contraction!
Don't push, just breathe. Check her, Dr. King. Okay, good. We got this. I see hair. Baby's hair.
Look, when you hear it, maybe you imagine a typical scene on TV of a woman in labor, but the reason there was so much chatter online about this is you actually see the birth happen. You see a close-up of the baby crowning through a vaginal canal. You get a lot of people saying that this may be the most realistic medical drama they've seen before. Catherine Van Derendak is here to talk about it. She's seen all of The Pitt. Catherine, nice to see you, pal. How you doing?
Hello.
It's always a delight. It's always a delight when I look upon your face. Let me ask you about the show. This is a show that is set in real time. Each episode is an hour in a single 15-hour shift in the emergency room. That sounds stressful to me. But B, how do you think that changes your experience as a viewer?
Yeah, so it definitely changes the way that you are following these stories, because you start to have a lot more investment and sort of question about which of the characters are going to be long arc characters, who you will be seeing again later in the season, and who is going to be the kind of shorter, more episodic figures. And I think the show is so good at balancing those and also keeping you on your toes about like what exactly are going to be the threads that come back. And as a note, I think it's really important to say that it's not just for the viewers. They also, as much as they possibly could, shoot this in order. So the actors are also experiencing each of these storylines in order, rather than doing a lot of the sort of easier back and forth filming that tends to happen. And I think it pays off for the performances.
I got to say, as someone who's familiar with this format from 24, where Jack Bauer has a 24-hour timeline, where each season is 24 hours where he's got to solve some kind of terror threat. And that was stressful. And he never went to the bathroom. And I was like, I'm having a bad time. I hope this man is okay. And also, doesn't he have to go to the bathroom at a certain point? This show, obviously, and this kind of format, has its benefits and I think has its limitations. Do you want to talk about the benefits and limitations in application to the medical drama?
For sure, yeah. So, I mean, I think the benefits we've already been talking about, this idea that you are, you're really in it with these people. You are connected to them minute by minute. And just so you know, there is a when can he go to the bathroom bit that happens.
Good.
And one of my favorite things is that it's split across 2 episodes. Like he really needs to pee in one episode and then can't until the next episode. It's fantastic. But you do also have a lot of like TV logic issues that you have to sort out or lampshade, and you're like, wait, what? Like, for example, obviously part of the issue here is that they are underfunded, and in order to keep introducing their administrator character, Gloria, so that the audience knows who she has to keep coming down to the ER like in several episodes in a row to be like, just so you know, we still have no money. And you're like, no, I got it, Gloria. You were here 45 minutes ago. You
probably wouldn't come down several times in one shift to say we don't have money.
I don't think so.
That seems unlikely, but we got to give Gloria something to do. You know, Gloria's all the way up there sitting in her office. Let me ask you about the scene that went viral, right? Like this idea, like the scene of the woman giving birth. Can you talk about the scene? How does it play out? How does it fit into the arc of The Pitt?
Yeah, so this is in the 11th episode of a 15-episode season. By the way, make more long seasons. TV's good at long seasons.
You have been saying this for a long time, as a matter of fact, on this very show.
Haul that soapbox back, baby. And so this woman comes in, she is in very active labor. In a normal situation in a hospital, probably she would get transferred up to a labor and delivery. But when they check her, they discover that she is crowning and she probably will not make it up to the floor before she delivers. So they have to stay there. And then what plays out is a chain of really concerning, very life-threatening complications. She's delivering and the baby has a shoulder dystocia. Then the baby is finally delivered and they're not sure if the baby is going to make it. Then she has a terrible hemorrhage. And so there is this like rolling sort of wave
Escalations,
of threats, right? The other thing that's happening in this scene is that although she is giving birth, she will not be this baby's mother. She is a surrogate for her best friend and his husband. So there's like many different elements all being woven here together. And then as you talked about, you see everything.
Mm-hmm.
The shot that you never see in these scenes is a baby crowning and a woman's face at the same time.
Right.
Because those are impossible to show together.
Right.
Unless you build a giant elaborate prosthetic rig that was adapted from the show Dead Ringers.
Oh, wow.
And then you have two puppeteers where one of them is pushing a baby out of this vaginal canal while the actress is like leaning over it so that you can see everything at the same time.
Okay, first of all, that's just as a technical achievement. That sounds incredible, but also
so good.
We got to say that like hospital. I think we're used to hospital dramas focusing on like the most bizarre medical cases, right? Like the Grey's Anatomy episode was like those two people have been impaled by a pole and we cannot pull it out of them. How do we solve this crisis? But in the case, the case in the Pit are different. Like what strikes you about something of like this birthing storyline? Because it feels so rooted, I guess, in real life in ways that you don't typically get from shows like this.
100%. You know, the Pit, there are weird, bizarre things that do happen in the ER. And so it does like to sprinkle in a little bit of like, isn't that hilarious that this happened?
Yeah.
But it is so invested in the idea that particularly for this birth scene, that like, this is a thing that happens all the time. These are very threatening, life-threatening complications. No doctor in that room is like, I've never seen this before. Everyone's like, oh, yep, that's what this is. And it is, I mean, this is part of what makes this show so satisfying and so oddly comforting for me to watch, even though there's like blood everywhere, but particularly by the end. These are just competent people who are working really hard to do their very best in these circumstances and who can do it.
What I'm struck by is the realism and the introduction of realism, because the idea that if you were to ask me and say, like, you know what viewers really want is more medical realism in their television, I think I would instinctively say, no, that's not the thing that I need from this. But also, we wake up every morning, Catherine, and look upon the horrors, you know? And there's something about looking upon the horrors and seeing TV and saying, that's too removed. I can't deal with McDreamy. It doesn't make any sense given like the real life stakes of this. What do you think the realism of the Pit is doing for audiences?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things. You will notice that The Pit is not the only new medical drama on TV this fall. There is a glut of them. There is like, 10 or something. And I do think that there is something to be said about this moment where we're like, maybe we don't want to see that. But suddenly everyone in Hollywood was like, I don't think cops, maybe we dialed back the cops just a little bit.
Yeah.
But TV thrives on procedural rhythms, and medical dramas have always been this sort of other thriving area of it. So I think there is something about what's happening right now showing up in this proliferation of them. But I also think there is something about The Pit that is so realistic, and it is also so contained, right? Like they cannot think about what is happening outside of this hospital right now. All they can think about is what is in front of them, doing their very best in that moment, and then turning to the next thing. And there is something so grounding and also like one day at a time, 1 minute at a time about how that feels in your body.
I think there's the idea of that feeling grounding and therefore comforting, that I can sort of compute. Like, because I do think so many medical dramas sort of take me to a universe. I'm like, I don't know what we're dealing with here. But when you have this container of a 15-hour shift and container of these are the constraints that these people are working with, this I can work with and say, okay, I can absolutely live and roll with that. And so I appreciate 100%. You. I appreciate you being here. Friend, you're the best. Thanks so much for your time.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, of course. Catherine Van Arendonk is a critic at Vulture. New episodes of The Pit come out on Thursday on Crave. This show, by the way, is called Commotion, and we like to talk about the things that people are talking about. Another show that people are talking about is Netflix's Adolescence. We are talking about that tomorrow, which means I got to go and watch it today. And I got to tell you, from everything I've read about it, I'm a little stressed out, but it's fine. We'll get through it. My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud. This show is called Commotion. We'll be back tomorrow. If you're around, I would love to see you then.